So we asked the community, does anyone have a favorite app they use for practice? That's what we're going to talk about today. And also, of course, me and Hayes has some favorite apps to share with you. Here we go.
Hey there, music maker. I'm Hayes Griffin.
I'm Magnus Sedlund.
And welcome to the Mandolin Secrets Podcast, a show where we take a deeper look at what's happening in the world of mandolin secrets. Each episode will tackle our question of the week, unpack the latest mandolin secrets lessons, and answer your questions about mandolin, guitar, and all things music. In this episode, we'll be discussing your favorite practice apps, and also how do you visualize scales on the mandolin and guitar. Magnus also has a new lesson release that he wants to share with us, and I've got a trick up my sleeve or two as well, so let's go ahead and dive in.
Yeah, but actually, Hayes, as we were logging in here today, getting all the tech ready, I did see like a glance of your room, and it seems like there's some new technology popping up here right behind you.
Absolutely, yes. I think if you're watching the video here, you can see over on my cajon, which is a great amp stand, by the way. I've got my my new Boss Katana amplifier. Yeah, it's also a great chair. You know.
Again, can you pronounce the name of this?
Yeah, cajon.
Cajon. We call it a cajon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Cajon, right? You know, cajon.
Probably have a cool. Yeah, that it works for many things in the studio. Well, actually, since this is a podcast, but there's also a video version. So for anyone listening, and right now, Hayes, we can't see your amp and the cajon because your image is a little bit cropped here or zoomed in or whatever, but that was exactly. And you told me a little bit about that new amp that you have, but I also know there's some new other technology that you're like playing around with. This modeler or what? How?
Yes, exactly. Amp modeling or profiling. Profiling is slightly different than modeling.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, for all of you gearheads out there, I have decided to kind of move away from analog amplifiers because they're expensive to maintain. Tubes are really expensive these days to buy, and they're just sensitive. I had a 67 Fender Deluxe Reverb, which is a really nice old tube amplifier. Sounds great. But just I didn't like taking it to gigs anymore, and it's a one-trick pony. It can do that. It can do the one thing that it does really well.
Yeah.
But modeling and profiling have gotten so good these days. Companies have come up with really good algorithms to kind of replicate the sounds of these amplifiers. So the Boss Katana is a modeler, meaning that it uses digital technology to approximate the sound of some legendary amplifiers. But the other kind of rig that I'm using live is a Kemper Profiler. So what that one does is you can set up microphones on vintage amplifiers and take profiles of them by sending electronic impulses through the microphone and the amplifier, so it kind of reads the circuit path of the amplifier and replicates that.
Wow.
So my Kemper Profiler, I've got like all these settings. There's like, the Van Halen 1984 sound, and there's the the Tony Iommi Heaven and Hell Black Sabbath sound, and there's what I mean, like they've done all these kind of profiles. And the thing that sold me on this was that I plugged into the Kemper for the first time, dialed up a 67 Deluxe Reverb, and it sounded exactly like my tube amp. like almost nearly exactly like my, and I'm just like, why am I even messing with this stuff anymore,
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
So this profiling, is that even like is that sort of mimicking the whole, mimic is maybe not the right word, but does it like how would I put it? Is it like the complete signal chain from guitar to amp? So it's kind of even mimic what their pedal board or that.
Exactly. So, and the cool thing about the profiler is there's a section where you can manipulate the effects. You can either put them before the amplifier or after the amplifier in the signal chain of the profiler, you know, so you can kind of manipulate things that way. So it's pretty
cool.
It's neat, you know. It's like, as someone who grew up in like the like late 90s and early 2000s with like amplifier technology, the first digital amps that came out were kind of awful in a way. They didn't sound that good, but having this at your fingertips now, like I have every tone of every guitar player that I loved when I was a kid, just like right at my fingertips. So it's
that's
really cool.
I feel like we got listeners here now who would never go this road, you know. They are like pure vintage kind of
digital
oriented.
No way, get it away from me.
You know? And then we of course have people who are very open to this and but I think it's, I mean, I think
I'll
both
say
you
this
and
to
me
keep my analog guys happy. Like, nothing really beats the feel and sound and vibe of a vintage tube amplifier. When you're sitting in the room with it, you flip the switch and the light turns on and the tubes warm up, and you know it's got this like, it's like listening to a record. There's like a process to it, you know. But as far as functionality goes, no way, man. I'll leave those in the studio and take my Kemper to the gig.
I like it. I actually got a small tube amp back home, a Laney. I think it's a 30. Well, it's a small one, but
Laney's
rarely. Great. Yeah, but I it's only collecting dust, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about it, maybe letting it go, and of course probably because I mean at the time when if I ever get that amplified gig, maybe I also would prefer something like modeling kind of thing. Or I remember I actually had this. You talk about shitty digital stuff. I had a Zoom pedal from, let's say, from 95 or something like that. I bought it like even second-handed in 1998, maybe 3-4 years old. Thank you so much for watching this highlight video. If you want to watch the entire episode, you can do it inside Mandolin Secrets Academy. Or you can also go to like your favorite podcast platform and listen to an audio version of this podcast episode. You can also go to our website to listen to the podcast. The web address is mandolinsecrets.com/podcast. And always remember, be a music maker.